Aloha mai kākou, e komo mai Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. The latest exhibit at the Schaffer International Gallery is entitled Through the Lens. It features 6 Hawaii artists, each of whom has a unique take on photography. Upon entering the gallery, the first thing one will probably see is this untitled giclée by Michelle Machina on Hanamula paper, which has been used by artists since 1584, so it is rather valuable. Ms. Machina, a Hawaii-born editorial and commercial photographer, currently resides in Honolulu. She is drawn to the subtlety of Ha'akula Manu, the sulfur banks, rather than the explosive dramatic magnificence of Kilauea. Ha'akula Manu is in Hawaii Volcano National Park. Their volcanic gases seep out of the ground along with groundwater steam. All of her works are untitled. However, there are identifiers in parentheses on each of them. When one first looks at this, it appears to be a field of wheat with a cloud over it in the dark. But come in closer, and it reveals an entirely different story. The parenthesis tells the viewer this is peely grass. From a distance, this has a decidedly abstract feel, but move in closer and voila, uluhe. This dramatic one is a volcanic cloud lit by the moon. Now for something completely different, Hawaii artist Nainoa Rose Hill creates assemblages, what he calls, quote, sacred violations, unquote, because he uses basalt stones from the 1990 to 2018 eruptions, along with photographs on Kamani and Koa. He exposes his images to caustic and abrasive substances. This is breath and vanity. Former things, generations, the earth forever. All things are full. The wind goes south. I have never seen anything like these. The effect of blending them with the volcanic rock arrests the viewer and causes one to closely examine each piece. Despite the commonality of the volcanic material, that examination will yield a seemingly contradictory revelation, at once individual and collective, grounding the work in its common ancestry while showing the multitude of life it has birthed. On the wall is a 1964 video by Martin Charlotte before the destruction of Kalapana, superimposed over 1,000 images by Mr. Rosehill of Lower Puna after the 2018 eruption. There are some pretty striking moments, like this one with the Kanaka in his malo from the film appearing to walk on the photo of the seascape. Take some time to look at this. It would be helpful if they put some chairs nearby. However, it is unlikely anyone will see all of this. I was entranced for at least 20 minutes. Here are a few of the images I caught. Vincent Bercasio is of Bicolano ancestry who currently resides in Pearl City. In these nocturnal archival pigment prints, he tries to capture the tension between the natural environment and the introduced Western industrialization and expansion. He fears this will lead to the natural world being perceived as alien. In Beneath, it almost appears the concrete pillar has grown there among the natural greenery. More in green paint spilled everywhere, Kalihi Stream. Finally, here is Waiava Bridge, solarized. The light from the street lamp looks like it's a god's eye, giving the work a Spielberg-esque twist. Kelly Searage is a Chicago-born artist who got her BA on the mainland, but came to UH for her MFA. She is currently a lecturer in the U of H system. She creates archival pigment prints and has always been interested in, quote, the gap between what is said, what is meant and what is understood, unquote. Here are a few examples. This is screen time and billable hours. Interestingly, her most impactful work was this untitled work, Gold Lips with a Mouthful of What Might Be Lion's Ear, an invasive native to Africa. Whatever it is, it's not something one would want to chew on. The thought of the consequence of shutting one's mouth is quite disturbing. The only Maui artist is Noah Harders. Throughout his giclées on pearl, he employs these preserved red and purple florals. His work is fantastical in the truest sense of that word. He has an untitled work to allow the viewer to see the florals he employs in his photography. This is Together We Stand. Note the juxtaposition between the stump-like florals and the setting sun. Without end, a stunning floating circle of florals above a stream. This photo of the work did not capture the magnificent light shining around the upper perimeter of the circle. You will have to go to see the show to see what I mean. In Mala for Dreamers, Mr. Harders drapes the preserved flowers around the palm trees to create this fantastical garden. Now we move into the more sculptural-like images with candles for lighting. Love moves like blood of the land. Mr. Harders' work, like Mr. Rosehill's, is absolutely unique. He enhances the natural environment with his preserved florals, then creates two-dimensional photographic images, preserving these moments of exceptional beauty. Then he marries the elements of the natural environment with his florals in candlelit sculptures and captures them as well. You have to see these. Finally, we come to the most powerful work in this show. Brandon Ng, an art instructor at Kapi'olani Community College, presents 6 salted paper print portraits. Each work portrays the individual pictured with a sign of their Hawaiian blood quantum. In the background of each are, quote, landscapes associated with historically involved in settler colonial expansion and land dispossession, unquote. On the wall are the waiting lists for each island for the Hawaiian homelands. Mr. Ng wants the viewer to understand, quote, the erasure of the native Hawaiian identity through legislation, genealogy, and the ongoing contestation over land ownership, unquote. However, it appears there are quite a few folks, more than 20,000, who qualify under the legislation, and most of whom have been waiting for decades to receive their just desserts. Through the Lens continues until July 25th. The gallery is open Tuesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and until 7:30 p.m. for select Castle Theater and Yokouchi Pavilion shows. Admission is free, but donations are gratefully accepted. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for joining me. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.